Good evening. Welcome, it's great to have you here. My name is John Catherwood-Ginn. I'm the Associate Director of Programming here at the Moss Arts Center, and we're so delighted that you came to join us this evening for this conversation on the power of music to advance human rights. In the spirit of this theme, and on behalf of the Moss Arts Center, I'd like to start by acknowledging the Tutelo and Monacan people, who are the traditional custodians of the land where we work and live here in Southwest Virginia, and to recognize their continuing connection to the land, water, and air that Virginia Tech consumes. We pay respect to the Tutelo and Monacan nations, to their elders, past, present, and emerging. I'd also like to take a moment to acknowledge the university's historical ties to the indentured and enslaved people whose labors built this institution. We pay respect to them for their forced contributions to Virginia Tech. Tonight's event is presented as part of Virginia Tech's annual celebration of Martin Luther King Jr. and our commitment as a community to what he stood for. It is also made possible by the generous co-sponsorship of the Office for Inclusion and Diversity and the Black Cultural Center here at Virginia Tech. We want to thank them for their support, as well as Drs. Mena Pratt-Clark, Michelle Carter, Kimberly Clark-Shaw, and of course our guest, Angelique Kidjo. Please join me in thanking them for making this special event possible. The format for tonight's event will be a conversation with Ms. Kidjo, moderated by the director of the Black Cultural Center, Dr. Kimberly Clark-Shaw, followed by a Q&A. When we arrive at the Q&A, we invite you to use the microphones that you see positioned in the aisles, or if you prefer to remain seated, just use a big full voice and share out your question with the group. I want to also take a moment to thank you for honoring the university's public health guidelines at this time and remaining masked for the duration of the program. Now, let's learn a little bit more about our esteemed guest. Angelique Kidjo's extensive accomplishments are hard to overstate. She's a 4-time Grammy Award winner with 13 albums to her name. Time magazine called her Africa's premier diva. The BBC named her one of the continent's 50 most iconic figures. The Guardian listed her as one of the top 100 most inspiring women in the world, and Forbes as the first woman in their list of the most powerful celebrities in Africa. Kidjo is the recipient of the World Economic Forum's Crystal Award, Amnesty International's Ambassador of Conscience Award, and Germany's Sustainability Award. In addition to her prodigious output as a recording musician, where she cross-pollinates West African traditions from her childhood in Benin with elements of American R&B, funk, and jazz, Kidjo is a published author. She's also a frequent collaborator with such eminent ensembles and artists as the Bruckner Orchestra, Royal Scottish National Orchestra, Philharmonie de Paris, Nigerian singer Burna Boy, and composer Philip Glass, to name a few. Kidjo also travels the world advocating on behalf of children as a UNICEF and Oxfam Goodwill Ambassador. At the G7 summit in 2019, President Macron of France named Kidjo the spokesperson for the Affirmative Finance Action for Women in Africa initiative to help close the financing gap for women entrepreneurs in Africa. Kidjo has also created her own charitable foundation, Botonga, which is dedicated to supporting the education of young girls in Africa. Please join me in welcoming Angelique Kidjo and our moderator, Dr. Kimberly Clark-Shaw.
Man, you have a lot of things to say. Thank you. So thank you so much. I'm so glad you're here. You can take off our mask a little bit. I know, I'm stuck, my earring here. So thank you, my goodness. We are so excited that you are here. There's so many things we want to ask you, so many things we want to talk about. So I'm going to start to ask some questions, and then we'll go to you. One of the first things is welcome. And you literally just got back. You were in Europe.
From Paris, yeah.
Yeah. So can you tell us about your time there? Was it fun? Was it work?
It was fun. I did 2 shows. The first one was with a classical piano player and myself, just piano voice. And then the second one was my new album, Mother Nature's Concerts, that I did in 2 different cities, Chambéry and Perpignan. Oh, wow. So I've been playing, playing, all the way down here playing too. So
So thank you for coming in the mountains, in the cold, and the snow. One thing that your voice is so powerful, and not just your voice, your singing voice, but your activism, what you've done for women, just how you have spoken out and really give voice to power. So I wanted to ask you a couple of things about your activism. And I'm just going to read it. It's kind of long. So I will slow it down. But one is, what do you see as the greatest threats to the universal human rights today?
Well, the greatest threat that I see is us.
Wow.
I fled my country fleeing away from communism dictatorship. And if someone had told me when I left in 1983 that today the democracy of the world will be shaken to the foundation, I would say this is not possible. But we have made it that way. So I don't blame anybody. I blame us for not understanding that freedom is not just a right, it's a responsibility. You cannot be free if other people are not free. So unless we understand that, and we want a better world, a better future for our children, we can just continue destroying everything. I mean, down the line, we're gonna pay the high price, period.
Yeah. Thank you. And really to speak to that, your music does such an amazing healing process. What do you feel like music is in the role of us kind of messing up our world a little bit? How could music help heal that?
I think that we underestimated the power of music because I don't know any human being that doesn't listen to music. It can be any kind of music. Because we grew up in music. Any child that is born to this world have heard the heartbeat of the mother. In the far, the voice of the parents. A lot of things happen when you're in your mom's womb that prepare you to understand music, to understand that when you come into the world, you're not going to be alone because you have already a vision, hearing a vision of the multitude of people around you. And music is also a form of art that emphasizes storytelling. Instead of reading the stories in the book, you listen to the music and you ride, you dream. It takes you to different places. And we are lucky enough to have so many genres of music out there for all of us to pick which one we want. And I'm just a storyteller. And I didn't ask for the voice I have. I was born with it. And I was told by the traditional musician in my country that it's not up to me to keep, but to share and to empower as much as I can. I try to do the best out of it.
Wow, wow, that's powerful. So you talked a little bit about your upbringing, just kind of that you grew up with music. Can you talk about your parents, the influence of your parents and your grandmother especially?
The thing that is really important for us to understand is that not one human being is born to this world alone. A child mimics what is done around. That's how you learn to walk. That's how you can start taking a spoon to eat. Everything we do, we saw people doing it. And I think that the upbringing of a child is the most important thing ever. It defines the adult that you become and the choices that you made. There is this word choice in our vocabulary is a powerful one because we take choices very lightly. I grew up in a household where my father was the first feminist I've ever met because against the will and the pressure of his family and the society he was raised in. He was raised by his single mother because both of my grandmother was widow at the age of 35. And they decided not to marry the next king. They decided to be independent. And that was revolutionary at that time in the 20s. That they say, we are in charge of our body. It's not because we marry a man, when our husband dies, we have to marry the next king. We are not merchandise or whore, so we can live our life without you. And what happened when you say that? You don't have the family support anymore. You are thrown out of the house and you have to find for yourself. And both of them struggle through it. And in that surrounding, they lost two children. My mother's mother had lost her son at 7 years old. And my father's mother lost her daughter later on, which made my parents both single kids. But they were determined to make it through. And that determination is something that is passed on to me. My mother's mother always used to say, don't let what happened to us happen to you. Your first husband is your job. You cannot be a weight in the shoulder of a man. A marriage is a partnership. No servant, no boss. And my father was pretty much the same. Because when my mom says she want to do something, my father said, go ahead, makes you happy, I'm happy. And people would question my father, basically saying, what's wrong with you? Why you let your wife do theater? Or who wears the pants? My father said, I don't care, she can wear the pants. If my wife is happy, what do you care? And the pressure my family has been through to send the 3 girls to school is something that still mesmerizes me till today. With 10 children, with 1 paycheck, 7 boys and 3 girls. I was the last one. And constantly I will see the pressure around the month of August, going to September. You have this person come in, this person comes in, this person comes in. And then they kind of come, it's like they come to circle him with pressure, telling him, why are you sending your girls to school? We can marry them off and make money out of it. My father said, did I tell you my kids are merchandise? Did I tell you what you gotta do in your house? What the hell are you talking about? Get the hell out of here. And I was seeing him getting mad. I'm like, my father never gets mad. He's a man of thought. He's always thinking, always very quiet. And the only time in the year you see him really out of is when they start coming in. And one day he said, don't come back here anymore. I will lock my door. Basically, I grew up in a household where I was given the power to do whatever I want to do. Because my father said, being smart has no gender. Your brain has no sex. Go out there, dream big. If your dream is not big enough, don't even bother talking to me about it. I'm like, all right, Dad, I hear that. And one of the things also that I learned from my father, because when I was going to school, I was tiny. I was like, you can just take me and throw me out, like, just like tiny. But I was running around. I was just like Speedy Gonzalez. I just come in, I would talk to my mom, be running. My mom's like, can you stop quiet a minute? Now, I want to catch up with my brother. They're climbing the trees, I'm doing it. They're doing soccer, I'm doing it. I'm like, and my mom is like, oh, I'll ask for another girl and have a tomboy. And my father is like, just leave her alone, man. Let my girl do whatever she want to do. And I'm like, you hear that? Just leave me alone. And I go, foo, 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 foo. I mean, crazy. And I drive everybody crazy. My nickname is When, Why, How. I ask so much questions. When I arrive at the village of my father, I see every elderly people go, phew. And my father would say, well, where are you going? He say, oh, no, your kid is coming, man. We don't want to answer questions after an hour. So basically, that's what it is. And my father always used to say to me, sometimes I come back from school, since primary school, I have been bullied. Because my older brother would already teach me, I would hear them coming from school, all the things they were talking about, I know. So when the teacher was teaching me stuff, they are saying nonsense, I'm like, teacher, that's not how that goes. And I get punished for it. And I'll come back from school, my ribbons rip off my hair, and my clothes, my dresses. I mean, my father, my mom will be doing my dress every week, actually, because I'm a curious child. And I would get to fight. And then one day, I have an auntie that come home, and then my mom said, you see her? They beat her, and she come back home. My auntie said, I'm going to teach you how to fight back. I was 8 years old. And I came back one day, I was really in bad shape because I beat the crap out of people. For real. I have to realize it. And then my father sat down and looked at me like this. What happened? I said nothing. He said, you've been fighting physically? Then I start crying. I say, I can't stand people hurting other people. And then and my father said, you can't save everybody. What did I tell you in this house? Don't get into any physical fight. When you get there, you've lost the battle. Why are you fighting? Whew. That's my father.
Wow. And thank your parents. They have done a wonderful job. We're so grateful for our ancestors, period. But it's so amazing the freedom that they gave you, you are giving to other people.
I have to.
Yeah. I want to read to you something that you said in an NPR interview, and it's relating to your father some too. You said that in response to violence and oppression, the best reply is music. And you went on to say that our bullet is going to be music. I don't believe in violence. Violence is the weapon of the coward. In every dictatorship, at the top of it, there's insecurity. So could you elaborate on that? And was that influenced by your father?
Yes. I mean, the thing is, my father was a really anti-violence to his core. I mean, he can't stand it. He just like, what is a man that raises a hand on a woman? If the only way you can show your virility is to beat somebody, then you are not courageous. You're not a man at all. You're not even, I can't even call you a human being. That's what he said. And my father always said that machismo is just a matter of insecurity. That we have to understand that each one of us, women have the male part in them because it takes male and female to create us, and men have the feminine part. It doesn't mean that you have to change completely who you are, but when you embrace those two parts, you are more a stable person. And I don't believe in violence either because in school, after all, every time I get into a fight, I come back, I cry because I find it absolutely unproductive. There's nothing good that comes out of it. And after a while, I say, you know what? I ain't fighting nobody anymore. You can talk as much as you want. I don't care. And it's true that if you look, the history of most of the dictators, there's something physically about them that is odd. Hitler was ugly and small. So it's your problem if you're ugly and small. Why should you take it out of people? I mean, it's crazy, man. It's always that kind of dynamic of people that are really attracted to violence. It's people that are so insecure and they don't have the courage to face the insecurity. I don't believe that any child and any person is born with hate. It's taught to you, or is your own failure after failure that you have never faced that bring you to say, I'm not a failure, and I will show you by using violence. My father always used to say, the person that have power is the one that never used it. If you start using your power, you already lost. You don't have anything else. So trying to control people and taking people's freedom, you are hurting yourself first because no one respects you. It's not fear. Fear is not respect. And I have one of my songs, I say, fear work hand in hand with violence and hate. Those three things are work all the time together. And I said, but what are you afraid of? Living demands courage. Failure, without failure, there is no success. People that think they get success like this, well, it doesn't last long. It's continuity of failure that makes you successful, that you learn, you fall, and you rise, and you continue, you fall. That's life. But for you to take on all your insecurity, all your failure, and I don't know what else, to hate people you don't know, that's not smart for me. You don't know me, I don't know you. You want to hate me? I'm like, go ahead. It's your life, do what you want with it. I don't hate nobody, I don't hate you. So you want to hate me? You have the permission to do so.
And that makes so much sense because your music is so happy. You know, as an activist, sometimes people are just angry and they're mad about life, but there's no anger in your music at all. It's amazing.
Why are you going to be angry and mad? That's a miserable life you're living for yourself. I don't want that. I'm not.
So your musical, your family has definitely been a great influence on you, but can you talk to us a little bit about some of the musical icons that were influenced on you growing up?
There are so many. I can't thank enough the traditional musician in my country. Because when I was growing up, my brothers have a music band. And they copy, they just, any music that comes out, they play. I'll be sitting in the middle of it. I don't understand the language. I make up my own language. I swear. I remember the song I Dream of Otis Redding Came Home. Oh, man, I was stand in the middle of the house and go, I got dwee. I'm like, I'm crazy. I just got to sing it. And then that's what I love about music. It gives you freedom to do whatever you want to do. And when James Brown came, I'm like, Dad, when I grew up, I want to be like him. My father said, "Ma, really? Okay." Then I went to my mom and said, "Ma, when I grow up, I want to be James Brown." And she goes, "No, you can't." And I said, "Yes, I can." Then I went back to my dad. I said, "Why mom's trying to crush my dreams? When I grow up, I want to be James Brown." And then my father said, "You're going to have a conversation later with your mom. I can't answer that question." From the moment my dad said that to me, I said, there's something cheesy about it. But I learned that I cannot be a guy. But the rhythm, the funk, whoo, Lord help us. When it comes in, I'm just like, I love it so much. And I said to my parents at that point, the language that guy is singing is so funky, I want to learn it.
Wow.
That's how I was. I chose my major in English. In college, I'm like, I'm gonna learn English. I was crazy, man. When music comes, I will sit down and take the LPs, and I travel. The covers of the album take me all around the world. I try to imagine the person in his hometown, in his living room, writing the song. And one day came Aretha Franklin, because most of the cover there, all you have is guys with their pants, or their guitar, or this, or that. And then she came sitting down in front of the church. I saw the album before I went to school. I'm like, I'm coming back for this one. I came back, and there was heated discussion between my brother and the singer of the band. The singer that I have for the band, I've never heard and seen anyone that have so much ego. Never. He would brag. There's no music I can sing. You bring it, I do it. I'm like, and I would sit down there and say, why can't this big guy be a little bit humble? And that day I came back home, he was sweating, saying, I can't sing this. I can't sing this song. I'm like, my brother said, oh, just listen, we can change the key. We know it's a woman singing, but we can change the key. Oh, no, it's too complicated. And I said, huh? A woman is giving me his sweat? Oh, I want to listen to this album. Because I wanted to have the opportunity to tell him something, because he was so sure, so much ego. And I went and grabbed the album and I put it on. I'm like, you won't get me out of there. Come full time. I'm like, listening. Your homework, listening to Aretha. And then the next day he came to the house. I stood. I was literally like this with both of my hand on my head. Said, so a woman whoop your butt, right? She almost have a heart attack. Go, what are you talking about? You see, I said, that woman on that cover, you can't sing it. I was bad, man. Sometimes I'm just so lucky. And that's it. I can't even tell you how many stuffed girls, Miriam Makeba, Bella Below, Celia Cruz were one of a kind. For me, Celia Cruz, I was a teenager when I first heard her. Because for the longest time ever, until today, basically, any salsa group is only guys. I'm like, okay, that form of music is only made for guys. So one day I was walking in the street and I saw the poster, Celia Cruz, the queen of salsa. I said, huh? A woman singing salsa? That's good. So I went to school. I have two best friends. And I told them, a woman is coming to sing salsa. They look at me like, oh, how naive you are. A woman singing salsa? Where do you come from? I said, let's bet. They say, what? I said, if she's not a backing singer, and if she's driving for us on stage, you're going to do my homework for 6 months.
Oh, wow.
I hate homeworks. I really do. I just hate them. Because for me, it's that it's time away from music. You know what I mean? And they look at me and they say, you hate homework and you want to bet? Is that serious? I say, yes. But I was not sure about anything. Because if I lost, I'm doing my homework and two people's homework. For me, it's just nightmare on earth. So the day of the concert arrived, they say, we spare you buying the ticket. We buy and we come with you. So we bought the ticket, and here we are sitting in the room, and the guys are playing salsa. And they are looking at me like, you getting ready? And I'm sweating. Literally sweating in my chair, sitting down like, oh, God help me out. God help me out. And then Celia Cruz walk on stage and go, Asuka! And I said, guys, come on, give me the money. Now. I love it. Give me the money and the homework, everything I want. Come on, give it up. And I stood up on my toes.
Love it.
All night, the whole day, dancing. And they were looking at me like, I won. And that day, what did I learn? There's nothing impossible to us women. We just have to clear our brain. We're too brainwashed to think that we can't do much. I'll do it. If I can't do it, I don't have no shame of telling you I can't do it, but I try. I certainly will try.
That was so funny that her word was azúcar, which is like sugar, like sweet, you know, so it's like got everything
Because
started. That was good for you.
Café con leche. And then say, café con leche? Don't you need sugar for that?
I love it.
I love it. I just do.
Oh my gosh. So if you could, this may be a little bit of a thought, but if you could look at your influencers and some of the music that they did, could you think of a song that was done a long time ago that speaks to where we are now?
I was born by the river.
Wow.
In a little tent. That's it. A change gonna come.
Wow.
I'm still waiting to see the change of us understanding that our strength, our power, our humanity lies in our diversity. And if you all look the same, I mean, that would be the worst nightmare for me to walk out of my house and see millions of faces looking like me. No, I'll shoot myself dead. I can't do that. I like to see diversity, and airport is the best place for me to see the world. You see people walking by, and I'm like, what's the job? This is a doctor, this is a lawyer, what are they doing? It's just like my curiosity is on alert when I'm at airport, because that's where everybody comes in, or train station, you've seen people going by. It is what makes and keep me humble, because everybody has something to do. And we all have family we have to care for. We all have our health issues. We all have, no one is perfect. And thank God we're not perfect.
Yes.
Because perfection is boring, I can tell you that.
Well, with all that you've done, you have an organization called Batanga. Can you speak a little bit about that organization and maybe how it's impacted girls?
Ooh, the word Batonga comes from my first year in high school and the hell that I went through. Because when you're in primary school and you're a girl in Africa, you're okay. When you start going to high school thinking you're going to college, that's a whole lot of dynamic going on out there. Because when you get there, your first year in high school, you're supposed to be married off yet. I'm like, excuse me. And the bullying was absolutely horrendous. They try to humiliate you. The worst thing that they do is that they always come out and they keep the stick on the back of the back. And at the end of the stick, they have a mirror, so they want to look under your skirt, like you don't belong. I'm like, and I was so mad. And I went coming back from school one day, and I said to my father, I told you I'm not going to get into physical fight anymore, but these guys, I want to punch them in the face. And my father said, no. Your ultimate weapon is your brain. Use it. Invent a world, anything that can get them off, because those guys, they think that they're smarter than you. Outsmart them. And I'm like, Dad, it's easy for you to say, but what am I going to do? And he said, just think. I don't think you're stupid, right? Are you stupid? I said, no, I'm not, but I'm going to try. So I come up with that word. I woke up in the morning and I said, Batonga, which means get off my back. Go away. You're nobody. You can't define who I am. You can't tell me what I got to do. So again, the Monday comes and I went to school and the same guys. The thing is, they don't come alone. They come with band. I say, you only can come 3 or 4 of you. You can't come alone and come and tell me what you think. And then they were surrounding me. Oh, you're here again? Blah, blah, blah. I said, Batonga. And they go, huh? What the starting of the conversation, I was already gone. And then I heard them saying, this one is crazy. Leave her alone. So I decided to call my foundation Batonga to give wings to the girl. I started Batonga in 2006. I was appointed UNICEF Goodwill Ambassador in 2002. And my first question to the head of UNICEF at that time was, what does it mean to be a UNICEF Goodwill Ambassador? If it's to go talk and shake the hand of politicians, I'm not good at it, and I don't like them. And it was Carol Bellamy at that time. And she said, Angelique, what do you want to do? I say, girls' education, women empowerment. If you have that in your book, I'm in. She said, okay. In 2 weeks' time, I'm taking you to Tanzania on the field. I said, let's go for it. Because, hey, I want to do something, you got to go and see what it is and talk about it. So we did the first trip. It was a mind-blowing experience for me to see how UNICEF doesn't bring the solution from afar. When there's a problem, we find the solution within the community with their resources. And also, I walked into a lack of trust about a lot of organizations that promise things that they don't do, and they don't respect people. You want to help somebody, you gotta respect the person. You gotta respect the tradition. It's not your money that make that happen. So, on my second or third trip to Tanzania, a mother pulled me aside and said, Angelique, because I've done a lot of PSAs for radio and TVs urging mothers to send the girls to school. Because the same year, the universal right of primary education, compulsory primary education for the kids of children of this world have been voted at the United Nations. So a mother come to me and say, I've heard your PSA, so I decided to fight my husband and send my girls to school. And they're going to finish primary school. And you know very well, and I know you know this, that if they finish primary school and they don't get to secondary school, they're going to end up being married as we are. And I said, okay. I came back, and I started talking about it at the UN. And some friends said to me, well, you know what? Secondary school, the rate of dropout is so high that it's the waste of energy or resources. And I look at the person and said, if it's easy, why bother? Are you talking to me? You're telling me that because the rate of dropout is the only thing that is stopping us from going there? Watch me. So I speak around, I say, I have a career to run and I need help. So a friend of mine put me in contact with 2 lawyers out of Washington, D.C., Marie-Louise Cohen and John Phillips. John Phillips was Barack Obama's ambassador in Italy. Then he quit the board because he couldn't do both. And with them, we started this organization because they were the one that revived the whistleblowing law litigation. So when they win something, they have a fund that they put the money called Opportunity Fund, and they were already doing some work in Africa. And when we met, they said, what do you want to do? I said, I want to work in secondary school education with 5 set of rules, giving the scholarship, uniform and books, tutoring, mentoring, and 1 meal a day. I don't want the parents to pay, and I don't want to work the paved road. I want to go to the villages where no one wants to go. They said, okay, let's do this. And we started in 5 countries, Benin, Mali, Cameroon, Ethiopia, and Sierra Leone. In Sierra Leone, we built a school in the second city, Waterloo. And I said, I just don't want to use the money people give me to have a huge staff. Let us find organization that already working with kids that are finishing primary school, going to secondary school in the poorest area ever. So we start working with organization from here, USAID, bring the girls into it. And that's how we started. In Ethiopia, we were with Mercy Corps in the southern part of Ethiopia, in Arbamish. In Addis Ababa, we were with Save the Children. Therefore, and I travel and see all the girls sometimes. And we did that for 10 years, till some of them, most of them are in universities. And now I turn my attention to the dropout. And I wanted to know why and how we can salvage them, how we can bring them back to do something. Then I do some researches and I find a foundation called Population Council out of New York that was already working with Guatemala, Latin America, with the same topic: stop child marriage, child pregnancy, and child abortion. And I went to them and they said they have a new app technology that they have called Girl Roster. And that app, it allowed you to map a community of 5,000 people a day. And when you come back with the questionnaire that is in there, you find out if the girls that drop out of school are living alone, are they orphans, are they living with their parents, are they pregnant, do they have kids, are they about to get married, what do they want, what are their skills, and how can we help them? What do they need? And I said, if you have to do this, let's do it in one country and get the experience from there and build a curriculum that is strong enough that we can implement everywhere in Africa. So we started in my country in 2 villages, one of the most hardest villages in the southern part of Benin. And when we collected the data, what came out that was really amazing is that all of the girls, they asked for a safe space where they can come together and do business. And we call that Girls Club. We started with 15 clubs. Today, we are not far from 70. We started with 1,000. Today, we are close to 4,000. And what we do is, the one that still want to go back to school, they go back. But the one that want to learn a job, we have to write the curriculum. So we work with organizations that write curriculum, brought them to speak to the girls, and we give them seed funding to do their business. Today, I can't even put words on what is going on. They come up with all the things. When the pandemic hits, they say, what can we do for our people in our villages? And some of them already, I mean, the first business they all started doing in the different villages where we are, they wanted to all do soap. I said, why you all want to make soap? I mean, I give you money and you giving me soap? And they say, yes, Mom. Because when we go to the city to buy the soap, we buy one soap for the whole family. So we have to choose if we take a shower, or if we wash our clothes, or we wash the dishes. And we can save our little brothers that have the diarrhea or every time because they are in the, I mean, they just think holistically about what can give them self-confidence. Because if you clean, you can go anywhere. So they start doing solid soap and liquid soap. To make a long story short, the pandemic arrived. They say, what can we do? So I tell them, wash your hand, keep your distance, don't touch your face, wash it, and wear a mask. So they get on to the one that are learning how to do clothes, they start making masks.
Wow.
And they say it's not enough, we need to tell our people in our languages what is going on, our elderly people. So they basically, by themselves, read the radio, local radio, say, you know what, we're gonna be here day in and day out, on rotation, every day, talking about this, writing song. Wow. I mean, it's amazing, and they save the community. They provide the soap, and they provide the water.
Wow, that's amazing, and especially because this one organization, I mean, to hear the numbers, but this is impacting lives, like, and it's still going.
Yeah.
That is amazing. your music is healing, but even what you're doing outside of music is healing. When you think about music and when you're doing music, what is the relationship of dance? Do you see, I mean, you always dance, like, so dance and music, it goes together.
Oh, yeah.
How do you feel about dance? What is dance?
Well, that's what we do, basically. I mean, there's music for every occasion. When a child is born, when we get married, even when I just lost my mom this past June, and one of the things that my mom loved the most is to sing and dance. And she told us, I don't want you guys to wear black. I want you guys to dance till you put me to the grave. That's what we did. And it was not easy, chanting, dancing all night for 3 days. So, and then you cannot do singing without dancing because we have the drums. The drums, as my mom said, I don't believe anyone telling me that I can't dance. I said, Mom, people don't know how to dance. And then she said to me, do they have a heartbeat? I said, Mom, okay. If I have a heartbeat, you can dance.
Your mom is so wise.
My mom
Wow.
she ain't giving you no pass when you say I can't dance. She
Love
just
it.
grab you and say, move. I'll move with you.
So one last question. I know I have been just enjoying you so much, but I know that there are questions out in the audience. But one last question. You love cooking. Tell us
Oh,
about your
boy.
love for cooking. What is your favorite thing to make? Would you ever write a cookbook?
But the thing is, with cooking, is like writing song. You have to have the right ingredients, and you have to be bold, but you have to have the right tools. You don't have a good knife, you spend hours cutting veggies, cutting things. There's no dull life in my kitchen, I'll tell you that for sure. What I like to do is also mix up my cooking. From African spices to the American cuisine, everywhere I go. So, whatever it is, if it's Thai cooked food, I'm doing my Thai food differently. I put my spice from my country in.
Wow.
And I love to bake. I do my own bread, especially during this lockdown. I went back to my bread machine and do a lot of bread with spelt. So that's how I keep like this. The thing is, when you're on a tour, eating is very complicated. And when I get home, I just want to eat my own food.
Wow.
And I cook what I eat. If I want ice cream, I do it. So, period.
Wow. Wow. That sounds fun. I want to open it up to everybody to, I know you've heard a lot. We've talked, and thank you so much for your energy, all the good things that you're able to share with us. Are there any questions from the audience just about anything that we've talked about or what you've read or things that you just want to know
Or
about?
whatever.
Yeah, anything. And if you want to ask questions, just feel free to go to the mic and I'll repeat it just to make sure that we hear it.
The microphone is there?
Yes.
So my family moved here to Blacksburg 70 years ago in November.
Wow.
And I was 20 years old before I saw a policeman that I could respect because on the weekends I would see them get down on the black population and the poor whites right up the street here and around the curve. So I never saw these people free until I went to see James Brown for the first time in Roanoke in Victory Stadium. And you have no idea, you may have seen the films of him, but you have no idea of the power that he emanated. And I looked about me, Roanoke's black population, and they were free. And that was liberating for me.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I was lucky because my parents never put any racist boogie woogie on me. I was very fortunate.
Mm-hmm.
In Roanoke, all of the black acts came through town. I saw James Brown 3 or 4 times, Otis Redding,
Ooh.
I saw Sam Cooke,
Ooh.
and all the others. My parents left me to my devices at 10 years old, to their credit, as it turned out. And I just want to welcome Angelique to Appalachia, here in Blacksburg, in Virginia Tech. And I hope you'll take the time to meet with the esteemed Nikki Giovanni tomorrow.
Yes, I'm up for it.
You would enjoy that, I'm sure.
Up for
She's a great poet and a social commentator. You would enjoy that. You should make sure you have that.
Make it happen.
Yeah,
Okay.
we can ask Nikki. She's in
That
town.
you should do that. Seize the time, please.
I will.
You must realize here at Virginia Tech, as a child and a young teenager, I viewed the Corps of Cadets giving their blackface performances every spring, year after year after year. And I didn't like that, but the white crowd sure did. And I see now that you are here. There have been very, very few black performers come to Virginia Tech. Recently we had Chucho Valdez and Diane Reeve with Joe Lovano.
Diane is my sister, baby. Come on. Chew.
So things are getting better, but time's running out for me. So I hope these people here will take it to heart and be the kind of people that they can be. So thank you for coming. Enjoy your stay.
Thank you so much. It touches my soul. Thank you so much. Wow. I wish I was here to see James Brown, Sam Cooke, and all that. You're lucky, you know that? Oh my God, that's cool. Well, thanks for telling me the experience. I mean, things are changing, as you said, and we're running out of time. All of us. It's not a matter of age. It's a matter of the future of this country. It's the matter of the future of our humanity. And I think that we've sat along silent for so long for the abuse to continue. And if you don't fight for somebody else's freedom, you don't have any. It doesn't matter how many people you kill to keep your freedom, you don't have any. That I'm profoundly sure about that. I've seen it myself, I've experienced it in so many different places. No one lives forever, and no one will escape the justice of God. That I know that for the matter of the truth is that we just have to think about ourselves and leaving the color aside. If we are able to see the humanity in others, racism will dwindle. And we have to understand that racism is economical. Right now, we are riding on the high wave of hate around the globe. And it's making some people rich, running for offices, because it makes them money. And as long as we let the power of money be the priority, we will all lose. Because my grandmother used to say, the ultimate weapon of evil is money. And we're getting on the way. We're doing his best right now. So, as a musician, I'm always hopeful. I'm not pessimistic at all. I'm optimistic because I've seen in my trip, in very hard circumstances, people that I thought I was coming to help, helped me see the strength that I have and the thing we can do together, even with the one that have nothing. So, thank you for saying that. It just reinforced my commitment to the well-being of all of us with our color being named, period.
Thank you. Any other questions or, yes?
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah. My name is Daniel Owusu, originally from Ghana. And I have listened to your songs. I live in Roanoke, and I'm a student here, but I just got to know of it this afternoon. I decided to stay, hang around and be able to talk to you and listen to what you have to say. even though my wife will have to go to work and my daughter will be in the house and I need to be home. But I thought it would be worth it.
If you get in trouble with your wife, don't call my name. Leave me out of it.
I mean, I sent her a text, so I'm sure she'll be cool with that.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm excited about the fact that you are using your gifts, that is your ability to sing and reach out to a lot of people, to influence other people that are depressed or like bring about transformation in the lives of others. Not just interested in getting money for yourself, but reaching out to other people. For example, the kind of stuff you do in Benin and other parts in Africa. I just want to find out, do you intend to use the outcome or the results of what you have been doing to persuade the governments to come out with some kind of legislation that will help like reach out to a lot more people? I know you as an individual with your group, what you are doing, but I know that if you have a legislation that takes care of helping the vulnerable in respect of what you are doing, I think we'll be able to reach out to a lot more people, and we'll have that as an example for other countries in Africa and other parts of the world that have such problems to be able to solve them. Do you have such intentions?
Well, the thing is, African leaders, they don't like me because I tell it to them as it is, and I'm not for sale, so it makes it difficult for them to work. But the thing that I have to tell you is that every opportunity that I've had to speak to head of states, I've taken that opportunity. Is that something I like to do? Because I have little patience for the political talk. They talk, they listen to themselves, and nothing is happening. A couple of years ago, I was approached by the Italian ambassador to the UN that came to me when we were in the heights of fighting against female genital mutilation in Africa. And then he said to me, we are trying at the UN to pass a resolution that will allow all the government in Africa to put into law that female genital mutilation is against the law. But they are tired of being lectured by us, white male. So I need your help. I'm like, oh, Jesus, what do you want me to do? And then he said, I want to organize a concert at the General Assembly, and I want you to speak to them, we'll invite them. Because if we tell them Angelique is coming to sing, they're all gonna come. And that's exactly what happened. All of them, they came. So at one point, I said to myself, if my father was still alive, what will he say to his fellow man? And I stand there, and before I start my song, I said to them, I was raised by an African father that respect tradition, but always stood against traditions that could harm his children. And if he's able to do so, how can you all sitting here in this hall telling me you can protect your little girls and the women, your cousins, your sisters, your kids from female genital mutilation? I know you guys are male, you don't understand what it is. But is it your duty to make your children and women suffer for you to have any existence? My father will tell you, think again and do the right thing. We did that show in February. In December, all the countries signed the resolution. So there are things that I can do. And the first country that implemented that into law is Nigeria. So the thing that we have to understand, and that I'm still trying to understand, is what it is to be a politician. When you say you are a politician, are you working for the people of your country, or are you working to advance your own career? And the line between the two is very thin. And if you don't think and work for the greater good of the people that put you in place, So we should find another name for you then. You're not a politician. So it is up to us, society also, not only me. Before I could vote in my country, I was already 22. Before I could cast a ballot. In all the rich countries, when I arrived in France, when I was hearing all those things about voting, I'm like, you guys have the luxury, the right, and the system that allow you to vote. And some people sit home and say, I am voting. So if you don't want to vote, why are you asking for something from anybody? Government aren't perfect. We are not perfect. We want a perfect government. Once we cast the ballot, it's not over. We should sit and put the pressure on the leaders and tell them, this is what you say you're going to do. And we want you to do it. Otherwise, every day you're going to see us here. We vote, and we sat down and go by our life, and we don't care about what happened to the vulnerable people, the minorities. And suddenly it bursts into violence. We can prevent violence when we are voting, thinking of one another, not as color, as I said before, but as human beings with the same rights. So I do my part all the time. My schedule can be crazy, and even any vote that is important, I find the time to do it. And we are owe to ourselves to do that for our children.
Thank you. I think we have time for one other question, and then we wrap up.
I guess I'll take the last question if no one else is going. My name is Alexander. First off, thank you, Angelique, for coming to talk today and to perform tomorrow. During this talk, you mentioned some of your musical inspirations. And I noticed that most of them are either not currently active in music or maybe have passed away. And so I was curious if there are any current musicians that inspire you or that you view as people that can carry the torch of your message that you deliver in your music.
Oh, there are many. Oh, man. You want to start
Just a couple. We don't have to get deep into it. Maybe just a couple then.
Phew. Jesus Christ. Oh, Lord help us.
Can't leave anybody out.
There are so many of them, boy. First of all, you have a couple of them on my last album. Burna Boy, Yemi Alade, Mr. Easy, Earth Gang, Shungudzo, Sampa the Great. There are many. I mean, it's mind-blowing to see the kids, what they do today, with their sitting home and doing their stuff, and it comes out and you go, ooh, this is so cool. I mean, there are so many of them that I would love to work with across the board, around the globe. And when you discover new stuff, it's just mind-blowing for me. Latin America is awesome. I mean, the rap is different from place to place. And what I discovered, because I have been put in a position now to rap, because of some of the guests I have on, they rap. Rap is not my forte. I tell you that, Brian. But what I understand is the language you grow up in has its own sound that goes with the words. Because before I would listen to the rap lyrics and not really paying attention to the musicality of the words and the language. And one thing that I discovered doing this album, having those different type of people rapping, is that when I close my eyes and I'm listening to Sampa the Great, I've never been to her country, but the voice, the lyrics take me to that place. It's kind of amazing to see. I've never paid attention to rap, but now that I have them singing with me on my album, it's just like, whoa, Angelique, you should start rapping. But I don't think I'm gonna be good at that. You're gonna hear some of mine yesterday, you're gonna take what you get. But tomorrow, I just let you know. I'm gonna try my best. I'm gonna do one, no two, because it's too hard. I'm getting there. I'm learning. I'm gonna do it one day. Aish. Did I say that?
Yes.
No, I'm not doing it. Oh, boys.
I can't imagine a genre that you cannot command, so
Me
I am
or-
sure,
me or
yes.
me?
Oh, I'm
You
sure.
know,
I can
no,
see it.
man, you don't want to hear it. Tomorrow, tomorrow you're going to come check it out.
Yeah.
And you tell me how I did. Oh, Lord. But it's so interesting for me. I mean, those kids, they come up with stuff and you go, man, it was worth all the trouble I've been through. Because I was the first one out there to open the doors and to let them see the endless possibilities. And they went beyond my expectation. And I'm like, hello, I'm good now. Anything happen, it's okay. We got the future on. So this is that's not rap, because this is rap, man. You don't pay me. This is not good. This is not good. So we try. I'm gonna try to do my best with rap. But thanks for asking the question. That's another another talk on the way. Shoot.
Well, I think in the same way, you know, we're celebrating Martin Luther King all this week, and in the same way that people have come behind you, you have truly come behind the likes of him. I mean, what you are doing, the voice that you are giving, it has been an honor just to talk to you, just to hear your wisdom. So thank you so much.
I hope he was still around here to tell people to do the right thing by themselves. I mean, I've been fortunate to meet Nelson Mandela, Desmond Tutu, and it has been a life-changing experience, because once you're speaking to Nelson Mandela face-to-face this close, it is powerful, it's humbling, and it gives you a perspective also in what we are able to do, especially when you are speaking to him in his jail cell, where we're all there, Beyonce, Peter Gabriel, Annie Lennox, we were all cramped up in the jail cell. And you can see all of us like, we were angry, it was just such an emotional moment. And then Nelson Mandela looked around and see all of us tighten up, and then he goes, welcome to my palace. And we all crack up laughing. I'm like, this guy is something else. And he looked at us and he said, all the feelings you guys are feeling right now, I went through them millions of times. And one thing I learned behind this wall is that if you let people do you wrong and you don't forgive, they own your life till your grave. So I'm about forgiveness and moving forward. And it's something that I try to do every day. So.
Thank you. Thank you. And you have moved us forward. Truly, it's been such an honor just to hear you. And I think your words have changed anybody that has come across you. I've heard a million YouTube videos and people that just thanked you and just love what you've done. So thank you so much for coming tonight.
Thanks for inviting me. This is my first time at Virginia
Yes, first
Tech.
time, yes, here.
And I like your heart. I'm ready to make you all dance.
Yes.
Yoo-hoo.
So
let's get it started. Ooh.
So please come back tomorrow, 7:30, and we'll have more voice, but in a different way.
Oh, you see my microphone is leaving me.
John,
too.
Jeez. Did you want to say? Okay. Thank you so much for coming. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you so much for inviting me. And the microphone have fallen down, so I'm talking like this. I moved so much, the microphone have to run away from me.
You can't sit for that long. Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks.